onto the co-main event. Curtis Blades, fantastic performance against Justin Willis. Just domineering. Really just showed that high-level wrestling, those sharp hands that he has. A great night of fights overall when you consider that 4 out of the 4 out of the 6 fights went to decision. So you're getting real bang for your buck in terms of just the amount of fight time, and really nothing in particular of a boring fight. You know, you get 2 wrestlers together like that co-main event, and that's normally just going to be a complete bore fest of being jammed up against the cage and just kind of fighting for position, fighting for the takedown and the takedown defense, which, although is very intricate, and to the hardcore fans, it's great to watch and you really want to understand all of that. To the casuals, you know, that's when we get the booing. We get a lot of booing when those kind of things happen. That's when we get a lot of people being broken up and the referees stepping in. You get all that controversy. So well done to those gentlemen for putting on a great, entertaining fight, and huge well done to Blades. You've got to give him credit. Came out and really put it to him. A great fight. Other kind of notable fights on the card, I thought the women's flyweight card was really interesting. Macy Barber, Jadri Aldridge. I think Aldridge came in with a fantastic game plan. And really, I don't know if it was through footage or just in training, she really recognized a weakness in Barber's game. When Barber throws that kick, there's just nothing else to it. That back leg roundhouse kick, although sharp and super fast, the deal is that you can come down the middle, come straight down the pipe like she did, and you can catch it again and again. And she caught her multiple times, parries that leg with one arm and went straight over and through with the other, and just went straight down the tunnel, right down the middle to the head. And was doing fantastic, and then gets rocked in round 2. And I guess this is what kind of should define Macy Barber in terms of what she does right, is she really capitalized on the opportunity. When she saw that she got her hurt, she knew, and she went in and she didn't waste any time, and she got the job done. So, you know, big well done to her. Retains her unbeaten record now up to 7-0. That's a great result. The featherweight matchup, Luis Pena and Steven Peterson. I thought that was a great fight. I think Luis Pena, what's his name? The violent Bob Ross. I think that's just the funniest nickname in all of MMA. Just fantastic. A great example of someone who I mean, you can tell he takes the fight game seriously, but he doesn't seem to take himself too seriously. And a real unique way of approaching the fight. I was really grateful in that instance that we had Daniel Cormier commentating, because he is from the same camp. They both train in the same place. And the reality of it is that he knew his approach to takedown defense, and he pointed it out. And I think you would have noticed it over time anyway, because it was a recurring theme in the fight. Steven Peterson would shoot for the takedown, and he'd start getting his hands around, and he'd be looking for that grip around the back to finish the takedown. And Luis's decision in terms of how he was going to defend it is, instead of defending the position, sprawling the legs wide, trying to get his hips, trying to get him over his hips, trying to bring him back up, instead of doing what we would traditionally do as an approach to that, he started attempting a submission. So in particular, he would sweep an arm under and he'd look for a Kimura. Kimura is where you're trying to put pressure on the shoulder joint by rotating it back and down this way. He's applying pressure by hooping his arm underneath and trying to wrench the arm back. It put Peterson in a real awkward position of having to decide if he was going to continue to contend for the lock, for the grips, or if he was going to start defending the submission attempt. And once he started defending the submission attempt, Luis could then work his way out of the takedown and get it back to the distance and work where he worked. He did a fantastic job at range, but credit to Peterson for constantly attempting and constantly working on pressuring and closing the distance. That is the way that you succeed against guys like Pena. You constantly add pressure and you keep that range up closed. Where people like Pena are more effective is when they get the range on you and they can pick their shots and they can move off. Great fight. Didn't think it would get to a decision. I thought it was going to result eventually in a KO or actually one of these submission attempts landing. So, you know, shout out to Peterson just for his toughness and resilience to make it all the way through the fight. The flyweight fight, I predicted that this was going to be an interesting one to watch, even with that division kind of in the mess that it is. I thought it was a fantastic battle between the two. In particular, I thought it was really interesting that I'm going to say his name again wrong. Formiga, just brilliant game plan in dealing with Figueiredo and respecting the power. Figueiredo had this kind of unattainable amount of power for that weight class, and came in with a 15-0 undefeated record. And Formiga really just stuck to a great game plan, really worked against him, worked against his strengths and weaknesses, implemented some wrestling into the mix, kept it mixed up, kept it undecisive, and then just was consistent from start to finish. I think Figueiredo was trying to get him riled up and get him to kind of stand and trade with him, which is what he wants. That's where he can implement his power and put his game plan to work. And Formiga just did a great job of not getting caught up in all of that. A real good example of make a game plan and stick to it until it doesn't work. You know, there's no reason to go to plans B and C if plan A is working for you. And that's exactly what was happening. He went in there with this idea of how he was going to approach this fight, and he maintained that idea and he maintained what he was doing from start to finish. So fantastic for him.